She's like, oh my God, I can't believe this was you and this and that. All I did was look me up on IG, found out who I was. Because in that town, no one knew who the fuck I was. I looked like I was a drug addict. Because when I don't work out and when I don't train, and you've seen it a couple times, my body don't look good. And I don't physically, face-wise, everything, even my demeanor and aura is just not good. So he brought me back from the dead. So I would help out the people at the local gym out there, you know, and stuff like that, still making it work. Well, fast forward, I end up becoming a bouncer at a bar that was out in Parker, Arizona, called the Sand Bar. Training client, I don't want to use the word clients, just helping out my friends. Still training them, true, just not getting paid, but training them, just not asking for money. I just didn't want to do that to the house. Of both gyms I ended up going to. And I met some cool people there along the way. Well, needless to say, I think after 4th of July weekend, I got heat exhaustion. On the job, bad. And I mean bad. I had to be in the hospital. 6 days later after that, I got hit with heat exhaustion. I got hit with heat stroke. I should have went to the hospital, but I didn't. Because the symptoms, I literally was driving back from Parker and I blacked out. I don't even know how I made it home. The next day, not only do I get fired, I get COVID. So you can see kind of like, Jason, why did you stay in the desert so long? Because I didn't want to let Chris down, because I wanted to be normal and be this productive member of society and all this other Billy Jack bullshit that people want to horse fucking feed me, you know. But I wasn't happy at all. I went into debt and I was miserable, trying to keep a place I could barely afford. And I think we were talking about this because, true story, around this time, like, I think, what was it, from like, we'll say February, when we finally got back in contact.
That's where we started going back and forth.
Yeah, and finally, because I was able to fucking find his phone number, because I had to go through his nephew to get a hold of him and say, hey, bro, I'm alive, dude.
I was like, whoa, where you been at, man?
It took me forever to get a hold of him, but, you know, we've been going back and forth like, no, you're going to move to Arizona and Blythe.
At the time, I was just like, you know, I was making a joke about it. And I was like, dude, I bet you're going to end up moving back here. And lo and behold, there it is.
Surprise, surprise, right? So, you know, one thing led from another, you know, got fired, lost the gig at the Sandbar, and now, of course, I called you and tell you I'm moving.
Yeah.
So, since then, I've been back,
So
you know.
what, I had what, maybe about a week before I head out, and I'm on my way to Blythe.
Grab my ass. And yeah, so all the series of events and everything, you know, but it didn't mean that it didn't come easy, because then if you think about it in hindsight, if you listen to everything I had to say, or the viewers here listen to everything I had to say, the consistency was always the same. I end up coming back to this shit anyway.
It's your passion.
And wanting to bodybuild.
Something you love.
So that's what took me 20 years. 20 long fucking years.
Now, that being said, how did you manage to overcome the struggles and get back to where you are now over these years? Man?
Seriously, dude, you develop a mental toughness. Like, if you think about all the things that we've gone through personally, like, so each phase, all the bad things, like, just let's bottle them up. We don't have to go into the history again. Just bottle up everything. After a while of going through the same thing habitually over and over and over and over again,
it's kind of like
you start
climb up the ladder, you
start becoming a level of thickness. Like, this ain't nothing new. I fell down once, I'll get back up again.
Climb up the ladder, slide down.
Plus being determined. Even though for the lack of confidence, I can't explain, to have no confidence, no self-esteem. Even to this day, I lack confidence and self-esteem to this day. That's being honest with you guys. This is the craziest, ironically, most oddest thing to say, but I still lack those to this day.
We gotta break free of
it. But somewhere in here, that inner monster I always talk about, that motherfucker refuses to die. He will not quit. He will not give up. He will not surrender. So it's pretty much myself fighting old Jason, fighting new Jason. Boom, boom, boom. I don't want to say new Jason, real Jason. It's like going bam, bam,
So
bam.
even going on a competition, but you're competing with yourself within still.
Still doing that. Like it. People trip out like when they hear me talk, because one, I shoot from my hip and I'm real. I say things sometimes to people and they'll look back and kind of think like, you know, why are you so depressed over that? It's not bad. I'm like, first of all, try to hear the depth of what I'm saying, because sometimes I don't, just like you, I don't always say things properly well. And when I speak, as you hear these
I don't
stories,
think it's not that we don't say things properly well.
We-
We don't know how to sugarcoat and be a bullshitter.
that, and for me,
In a nutshell.
I know how to take myself, like how I'm feeling today, and go back whatever I was dealing with at that time, so I can give you a genuine picture. It's almost like a mythical actor, how they kind of entail to the character and they channel that, and you can feel the character's emotion, all that throughout the process.
Yeah.
Well, I do that within myself. I go and I bring all that out, but doesn't mean I live there and harbor it. If anything, I figure that if someone asks something, they can go ahead and use it as a tool, you know. So the struggles is mental toughness and determination. No matter how bad things would get, how bad life kicks me in the ass, I was still hell-bent and determined to be successful, even when I got in my own damn way.
So what made you financially decide that you want to do this competition at this time?
You know what? I decided to put all my nuts in the basket and say, fuck it. Use all my assets, the fact that I'm here, sponsors, Righteous Sports Christian, One More Rep, TC1, you know, the help with, you know, from Craig and Jesse from Schooners, you know, I decided to go ahead and invest in me. Legitimately. Invest in me and what I want to do. And this time I was not going to be stopped. So whatever I had,
No stop.
I used. Whatever I made, I put into this. Because at the end of it, I still have unfinished business. We didn't come from all those horrible situations and all of these things that I dealt with throughout my life
Just to lay back.
just to lay back or chill or do something else. No. God could have fucking ended my life there, as well as many times over, not just Blythe, but anywhere throughout those 20 fucking years. Not to mention when we were kids, being knuckleheads running the street. You know this better than anybody. We lived it. So he did not bring me back from the dead, and then meet certain people and kind of build these relationships, just not to follow through and do this damn thing. It took me 20 long years, just means my road was a little different. It just took me a little longer. That's all.
So being gone for 2.5 months, preparing, and only being 10 weeks out,
Yeah.
how's that going for you? Preparation. I mean, just
I'll be honest with you guys.
Trying to get there.
I'll be honest with you guys. You know what? In the very beginning, it was gun ho, everything like that. But as life happens, situations, emotions, I'd be lying through my teeth if I said I didn't have my slip ups and bumps on my diet. Yeah, I know I.